There's a total of 5 leg cyberwares to choose from in Cyberpunk 2077, with each unlocking some seriously cool ways of getting around, from a totally silent assassin to moving with Barry Allen-esque speed. I tested all of them, so stick around to see what each does best. A leg cyberware quite unlike anything else, Lynx Paws might not get you around as quickly as the others, though they can be a nice buff when it comes to doing so stealthily. With 50% quieter movement, an additional 12% speed when moving crouched, and probably to make up for its lack of jumping, a 20% reduction in fall damage. What does this effectively translate to in-game? Well, for starters, yes, it does make sneaking a little more forgiving. Enemies will rarely detect you provided you don't cross their line of sight, allowing for easier and faster silent takedowns. Additionally, it stacks with other sneak buffs, such as the Ninjutsu and Vanishing Act perks, and the Shinobi skill for the near flawless traversal of crowded enemy bases, totally free of detection. With optical camo triggered, we can't be seen, the legs prevent us from getting heard, and the additional movement gets us through quick enough before our camo runs out. It's actually a very cool combo for a sneaky playstyle, and mixing in cyberware like atomic sensors, adreno trigger, and threat evac means we can sneak practically as fast as we can run, should combat get triggered. However, after testing this same higher level build with all those perks and cyberware, save for the Lynx Paws, I found that actually we're pretty much almost as speedy and stealthy without them, making the very noticeable sacrifice of one of the other leg cyberwares not really something that's worth it. They may appear to fit right in as part of a sneaky build, and they do, but at higher levels especially, it's tough to justify their use. Mind you, given their first unlockable at tier 2 and grant practically the same stealth buffs then, it's potentially worth using them earlier on in the game, especially if you're the type of player who finds executing stealth takedowns infinitely easier than open combat at this stage. That extra forgiveness in stealth certainly goes a lot further when getting detected actually runs the risk of death. The first of 2 speed boost items, both named after the Leeroy Jenkins meme, the Leeroy Ligament system may be the only iconic entry to this video, but that does not mean it's especially good, just that it can only be acquired with Phantom Liberty from within Dogtown. And it's one of the most straightforward ones here, increasing your movement speed by a flat 20% at tier 5, plus a nice little armor boost. This applies to all movement, not just sprinting, and therefore is actually speedier than the Lynx Paws boost for crouched movements. Combining it again with things like adreno trigger and threat evac can make you exceptionally speedy in combat, which granted is probably best should you need to run away, but can also be excellent in melee builds, especially for running toward. In fairness though, swords can perform lunge attacks, which is quicker than that still. And realistically, a flat 20% speed boost for getting around generally is not going to beat the speed of combining double jumps and air dashes. So yeah, kind of limits these ones to combat use only. Though there too, the Ligament system is beaten in almost every way save for sneak sprinting, which is the only reason it's above the Lynx Paws given the stealth bonuses of that I don't find to be necessary later in a playthrough. So if you're a sucker for stealthing it the whole game, then maybe switch over to these once you reach Dogtown, but honestly, you're missing out on so much more by doing so, and they're not even the best straight up speed legs. That title would go to the Jenkins Tendons. I kind of assumed, because they weren't iconics, that they would be worse, though after testing, I'd say they're a fairly clear winner, especially once you get them at tier 5. These also provide a flat boost in general, though that's only 10% this time as opposed to 20, though on top of that, Jenkins Tendons have a 5-second charge, during which you can run up to 60% faster. This bar will drain and replenish at the same rate, but won't recover whilst we're sprinting, or it seems jump dashing about. Therefore, it's not particularly viable over long distances, but again, that's best achieved with jumpy legs and air dash anyway. However, if you want to achieve the most insane levels of superhuman speed in combat, where sprinting in 5-second bursts will be a balance that probably fits, then these legs are a ton of fun to try out. Again, provide them with the same perks and cyberware to boost speed, adreno trigger, threat evac, air dash obviously, and throw in a Sandeviston or Revolta, and things can get pretty crazy be pretty fast. Get it? Because, yeah, never mind. Another thing you can add on top of all this is any member of the Prime Gaming Barguest set, i.e. any of these weapons sporting a cool red paint job, which are either redeemed from Amazon Prime or via simply looting airdrops in Dogtown. These can also provide an additional 20% movement speed by racking up kills in quick succession, so chuck these into the build too if you're just wanting to become as fast as you possibly can. It's actually mad the levels of speed you can reach, and this is by far the best leg cyberware for achieving that, at least in short sprinting bursts specifically. Certainly not the best use of the leg slots, I wouldn't say, but hey, it's a better use case than the previous two entries. Still got nothing on the top two though. Was there ever any question that it would once again really come down to a choice of two? Don't get me wrong, the previous three are all fun in their own way, but in terms of genuine usefulness, it's all about the legs that bolster our jumping ability, both of which allow for different things. And put simply, Fortified Ankles are the legs for jumping higher, requiring you to hold down the jump button and then release to be propelled extra high. I also discovered that you can technically jump mid-air with these, but only by dashing off a ledge without jumping beforehand, and then jumping mid-air, potentially allowing you to clear some more gaps. Overall though, this is definitely the trickiest of the two to use, with the least mid-air maneuverability. Mess up the initial jump or the landing afterwards, and that's pretty much it, especially in all the high places I tend to use these to parkour around in, since they're the only legs capable of reaching certain ledges. Additionally, this works pretty well in combat, provided the terrain has some verticality. Jumping onto a roof to escape gunfire can be fairly effective, and also provide a great vantage point. If you want to take your jump game even higher though, but make it yet more fiddly by doing so, you'll also want Trebecca's Guts shotgun, looted from the middle of the big city center roundabouts. With this, we can employ a method I like to call the Guts super jump. Basically, look down at the ground, hold space to ready the jump, and a split second after releasing, also fire Guts to be propelled even higher. This opens up more previously inaccessible rooftops, such as, with a couple tries, the rooftop of Villa Eurodime. I mean, there's nothing up here, but it is one hell of a view. Plus, I'm sure there's plenty of other examples around the streets of Night City. So yes, as far as genuine use cases go, parkour enthusiasts may want to select these as your leg cyberware. They're also a little better for straight up protection, with by far the highest armor stats of all the leg cyberware. But compared to the winner of this list, they're far clunkier to use and only really necessary in very specific scenarios. Of course, number one is, and always probably will be, the reinforced tendons. I think so, and so do around 85% of you. At the end of the day, there's just something about double jump that's difficult to beat. I mean, factor in air dash, and it's technically more of a triple jump now, remarkably similar to Cal Kestis and Jedi Survivor, and providing an equally satisfying experience in terms of player versatility. A mechanic dating back, I don't know, probably hundreds of years through old game titles such as LEGO Star Wars and Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. Yes, they are the first two that came to my head. But whilst Jedi have the Force and Scooby-Doo has springs, there's often some debate over whether this cyberware actually has a little too much defiance for physics within this game canon. And though the name wouldn't directly suggest it, I would have to guess it uses some kind of airburst propulsion, maybe? Either way, the overall practicality speaks for itself. Having access to a second jump in midair to activate at will makes getting around both horizontally and vertically so much easier. Plus, for long distance travel from place to place, this is by far the fastest, utilizing a combo of ground dash, jump, air dash, jump, before landing and repeating the process over and over again. I rarely use cars when generally exploring now, and that is majoritively thanks to this leg cyberware. Yes, there are certain high ledges that cannot be reached with these, but I'd say for about 98% of exploration, these are both easier and faster. Plus, for dashing around in combat, especially with guns in a netgunner build, say, these are the most versatile there as well. Are you missing out on other things by just using these 100% of the time? Maybe. I'd at least recommend trying the other leg cyberwares, but realistically, though you may put them down for a while, reinforced tendons is always probably going to be the one you come back to. So, comment below any other cool uses of any of these leg implants that I might might have missed, and subscribe, because we are so close to 100k now, and I've got some very exciting content planned for after that. Plenty more Cyberpunk to come, but also other games too. Massive thank you, as always, to the patrons for keeping the channel alive, helping me to reach this extraordinary milestone, and thank you, of course, for watching. I'm Bram, and have a great day.